Good evening, fellow armchair Imagineers. It's your bold movie explorer, Tiki here.
And accompanying him is none other than Jacob Weil.
And we're here to embark on a bold new adventure through perhaps one of Disney's most mysterious and underreported movies. It's the Strange World SpoilerCast. Jacob, we're going to spend the whole podcast talking like this. How did you like the movie, my friend?
So, in the opinion of this 1930s and 40s broadcast newscaster, I quite enjoyed the movie. I mean, it didn't quite live up to all of my expectations. Well, what I mean by that, okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm gonna give that up now. But what I mean to say is it wasn't exactly entirely what I expected. That's not necessarily a bad thing. In ways, it's almost better than what I expected to be, and definitely went in directions I was not expecting.
Totally.
I wouldn't say it's as good as their more recent efforts, but overall, I mean, I would say it's an enjoyable experience overall.
Yeah, this is a really, really frustrating movie for me, and for almost no reasons that are actually the movie's fault. I think the media conversation surrounding this movie has been particularly negative just based on the fact that Disney itself, I don't know. I don't want to go into conspiracy theories or any of that, but I really do think with this movie being released right in between Wakanda Forever and Avatar 2, I don't know, Jacob. I think it's a little bit suspect that they chose to undermarket this movie just as hard as they did. I'm going to leave it at that. But I don't know. It's frustrating to me that almost nobody is actually talking about the merits.
Sorry, I accidentally muted you.
I was like, wait, do you disagree with what I'm saying? That's struggling.
No,
you censored me on my own program, sir.
I was trying to mute myself.
It's all good.
But go on with what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I am quite frustrated with the fact that almost nobody is actually talking about the merits of the movie itself one way or another. There are people who have uploaded reviews for sure. But the big conversations oh my God, it's got the lowest audience score ever. Oh my God, it's going to be Disney's biggest flop. And I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a great movie to follow up something like Encanto. I'll say that much, just because Encanto was that was such a lightning in the bottle, right? If Encanto was this generation's Beauty and the Beast, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying hypothetically, if we were to compare the two, I don't think Strange World is a worthy Aladdin as far as follow-up goes.
If we're talking about critical reception, then that would be Zootopia, I guess. Would be more the generation's Beauty and the Beast or the Lion King.
I guess so. But Strange World, I do like it quite a bit. I think I think that the character work in this movie is decent. It's not Disney's best character work. It's not its worst character work. It's serviceable. I think where this movie really shines, though, is in the visual department. I mean, hot damn, I think the creature designs, the world building,
the adventure and creature design aspect was definitely yep, we're going all in on this. It's this is an artist's dream.
Totally. And that's why it frustrates me so much. Honestly, this movie kind of feels like The Good Dinosaur was not even an objectively good movie, right? At this point, it was mediocre to bad, depending on how you look at it, but people would defend it but them visuals, though.
In all honesty, though, that remains the only Pixar movie I haven't seen.
You're not missing a ton besides demographics. Those naturalistic backgrounds.
That's basically what everybody keeps saying about it.
But with this movie, it's yeah, I think the visual component of it is the driving force, but I mean, it's a Disney animated movie. Shouldn't that be a big driving force of it? I don't know, man. I'm pretty damn on board for this movie. I find I find very little about it to actively dislike. I don't think there's a lot to it that's like going above and beyond. But I think it's comfortably like I feel like it's comfortably kind of like it's below the tier of like an Atlantis or a Treasure Planet. It's not quite to that level, but I think it's like comfortably in that same sort of category of like more adventurous Disney movies.
Basically, what you're saying is it's above mediocre in your opinion.
Yeah. I definitely think it's above mediocre. Yeah,
because you always go to mediocre.
No, I think this is quite good. I wouldn't call it great, but I think it's quite good.
Funnily enough, for me, despite the fact that I haven't really seen that many of them, I'm always kind of like always fascinated by like this, like the film serials, like the 50s and like or earlier. Like, even though I've like never actually seen a bunch of them myself, just like
I'm kind of with you. I have that same sort of like I've never sat down and watched them, but I really love the style.
And obviously based on the opening, it's like obviously the pulp magazines of that pulp magazines and comics of that era too. Like it's basically like bringing forth a bygone era.
So that's like how great was that opening? Seriously, this is open spoilers, people. So just so you know.
They're the Clades. They're the Clades.
I mean, that is up there with I'm not going to say the opening is as good as The Incredibles, but like I love how it sets the stage. It's like, okay, like this is I don't know, man. First of all, it's a really catchy song, great animation. It sets up the two lead characters really well and their dynamic with each other. It's just very efficient storytelling.
Yep, I do have to agree with that. It's like the catchy song combined with like the classic 2D animation style with the pulp comic book is just like, and then when it transitions to 3D, it's like the pulp comic books come to life.
Totally.
But yeah, they're the Clades. And who's this joining him? Why, it's his son, Searcher Clade.
Which that's just a freaking great name, by the way. I love that name.
That's actually the working name of the movie at first.
Oh yeah, Searcher Clade.
Yeah, I mean I can see why they went with Strange World. But that was technically the first name of the first working title, and clearly, Monkey here, he's a fan of the song too.
Indeed.
It's basically the only song in the movie, and it's heard again at the end.
It works though, man. I like that. It kind of reminds me of how Cruella de Vil is like the one song in 101 Dalmatians, if you don't count the Canine Crunchies commercial.
Canine
Crunchies are so sweet, they make a very special treat.
Canine Crunchies can't be beat.
But it's like, you know what I mean? How it's like, Cruella de Vil is really like the theme song of that movie, much as how
Cruella de Vil.
Much how this is sort of the theme song of this movie.
Plus it also, again to bring it up, fits like with like those like over the top bombastic theme songs of the film serials.
Totally, I got the vibe of oh god, I'm sure. Do you remember the Incredibles DVD? They had a few of the the Adventures of Mr. Incredible and Frozone, the really bad like 1960s cartoons.
You mean like in Mr. Incredible and Pals?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually watched that. I watched both the original and the commentary on it.
Yeah, it vaguely reminds me of like that sort of style.
Like, that's definitely probably what they're doing. Obviously, better animation and no Synchrovox, thank God.
Of course, yeah.
I'm glad they didn't go full Synchrovox on this.
Tom Beast is here. He says the title is reminiscent of 80s adventures like Indiana Jones and DuckTales.
Which to be fair, were also throwbacks to the film serials.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
So in a way, it is kind of like that.
So let's talk about kind of the big inciting incident. Of course, the trailer gives away a big old spoiler of like, oh, hey, the father's gonna abandon Jake Gyllenhaal, but don't worry, he'll be back.
Well, to be fair, that does happen earlier in the movie, though. It
does happen earlier in the movie. It still takes away a little bit of the dramatic tension of the origin, I think.
I mean, I'm not going to deny any of that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But he find Searcher Clade is the movie does show that he would rather basically he's getting kind of like scared of the adventuring that Searcher Clade that obviously Jaeger doesn't. And I love the name Jaeger Clade, by the way. That's also an awesome
Again,
name.
really solid names for these guys.
And fittingly, considering Jaeger is like basically the German word meaning hunter. So it kind of makes sense to have it's like the classic, again, serial name. It's certainly like one of those names, those adventure
like
serial
Indiana
heroes.
Jones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like Searcher. It's like Jaeger, the Adventures of Jaeger Clade.
Yeah, totally.
But what happens is like you can tell that Searcher is kind of getting weary and worn out by this whole thing, and of course he stumbles across this mysterious plant, which eventually gets called Pando. It's actually kind of foreshadowed at the beginning its destructive capabilities early on. If you think about it.
Yeah, I really think it's interesting, kind of like the themes of this movie, kind of like, the honestly, I feel like this movie, both in terms of tackling some mature subject matter, some solid LGBT representation, and just straight up being like a send up of the old serials. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is a much better attempt than Lightyear was, in my opinion, in all of those things.
Yeah, I could definitely see where you're coming from on that. I mean, this is one of the few times we can probably say that the WDAS movie is better than the Pixar film this year.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so.
I mean, not that in my opinion Lightyear was bad. Obviously, I like Lightyear better than you did. But
Having said that, I do think that
yeah,
sorry, I do think that Pinocchio is going to win Best Animated Feature this year.
yeah, the Guillermo del Toro one.
Yes.
Because yeah, I'm not gonna try and deny that because I can see that. I can totally see that.
Oh.
I haven't seen it yet, but I can totally have it. Is it even out yet?
Yes, it is. I need to go see it.
Isn't it on Netflix?
It will be on Netflix in December, but it's out in a limited number of theaters right now.
All right. But yeah, I can totally see Pinocchio coming out on top this year.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's like some dark horse we haven't heard about yet. But that was only released like very limited without marketing that we haven't heard about yet.
Right, yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I don't think Cartoon Saloon did anything this year.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Okay, so yeah, so I really like the first act with just Searcher's family. Meridian honestly is like up there with Ellie as far as just like hashtag Disney couple life goals.
like I'm basically watching Searcher interact with both the Meridian and Ethan. I was like that's the kind of dad I want to be.
No, seriously, I love the dynamic that he and Meridian have with each other, man. It's adorable.
I mean, I love those two together.
But let's talk about Ethan, because Ethan is he's a big deal, man, because I think this is legitimately like I know that Disney has has infamously done the whole like, okay, let's parade out the first quote unquote gay Disney character. I legitimately think this is like the one that they should be proud of. I think this is the first time where it's like it's not just like a wink and the nod. It's not just like a blink and you miss it thing that can be cut out of the movie. And it's also not pandering. It's also not like the focal point of his character either. It's a part of who he is. It's an important part of who he is. But it's not everything about the character. I don't know. I really dug how they handled it.
Which is honestly an issue with a lot of media nowadays. When that
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, not to say that's obviously a bad thing, of course, but it's nice to see it. It's nice, but I really did like Ethan though. It's like just his whole dynamic with his family and everything. Like you could tell he could. I just love the entire Clade family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like the first thing we hear from Ethan when we see him coming down. He's come down the stairs and we see Searcher and Meridian like basically when Good Morning Kids, like, this is the first thing I see when I wake up.
The moment where Searcher goes running to interact with Ethan's friends, Jacob, that was very, very Goofy movie-esque, and I loved it.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
I just got vivid this feels like comfortably like Goofy movie father son tension. Ooh, it's good. It's good and Goofy movie-esque.
But I mean, the funny thing is, I didn't make that connection myself, funnily enough. But I mean, I do totally see where you're coming from on that.
I mean, I honestly kind of think that I wish they would have. I'm not saying Searcher is a bland character. I really don't think he is, but I almost wish that they would have heightened his, his overprotective dad elements just a little bit more to be more in line with that, like throughout the whole movie, or not overprotective, just like wanting to be overly involved, much like Goofy.
I mean, I'm kind of glad they didn't focus on that entirely. I mean, they kind of focused on basically the 3 generations of the Clades, which I kind
of... no, you're right. I mean, that is more kind of like an original thing that this movie does tackles well. So,
I mean, it's kind of like I mean, I do kind of appreciate it. It is kind of similar to what Encanto did, but it is kind of like a more like it's brought more to the forefront in terms of like grandfather, father, and grandson kind of thing.
Right. And like Jaeger is the only character where, I mean, I like that this movie really, outside of Lucy Liu, like there is the weird kind of like, I thought the Lucy Liu thing was like a little awkwardly handled, where she's like, hey, I'm gonna be like a really, really discount Rourke for like 5 minutes.
You mean at the very end?
Yeah, like we're getting this job done no matter what. And I'm like, this is like, all right, it's a little too late for to bring in like an actual threat into this story.
Well, at least when she realized what was really going on, she kind of abandoned that.
Yeah, you're right. But I feel like in a lesser movie, they probably could have just made Jaeger like a twist villain, like they find Jaeger and Jaeger's like, I can't let you do that, son. What I'm doing down here is more important. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
I mean, Jaeger does have that, but he doesn't let it turn him into like an outright villain or anything. It's just like, it's more out of like trying to define who he is. Like, it's like he's let this define probably like more than a quarter of his life.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just like, I have to do this. Or it's like, what am I? And obviously, it's like but I kind of appreciate how it doesn't like necessarily like paint what he's doing as a bad thing. Like he was a bad dad, sure, but the fact that his adventuring wasn't inherently bad in of itself.
He's a bad dad, but he's not a bad guy, if that makes sense.
I mean, that's pretty much exactly the point I was going for.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's not painting his like adventuring and over the topness as like necessarily bad, but it ties into him not being that good of a father.
Totally.
Which is what Searcher needed. And he does kind of give up the whole adventuring thing at the end to settle down on the farm with Searcher. So
he does.
So his adventure, because he finally found out what was beyond the mountains.
And I do really like the moment where he does too. I don't know. There are some genuinely good character beats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about just. Do you want to get into the big twist with this movie?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. The twist is it's all a giant body.
Yep.
I really should have seen this coming. I kind of felt stupid that I didn't see it coming. Granted, I did definitely take notice of the fact that, like, design-wise, basically what I thought it was is I literally thought that the animators were kind of, like, taking design inspiration from stuff like Blood Cells and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But no, it's actually, like...
It actually is Blood Cells, in a way.
So I don't know. It's like I kind of like that. It's like I almost sort of think that this movie would have done better, and I'm not the only person to have made this point. Who else made this point? I want to give them credit.
Not sure.
I think Dan Murrell made this point where I think this movie would have done better if they would have leaned into like the fantastic voyage of it all. If they would if that wasn't kept a twist, because I think it would have hooked more people into the concept of like, okay, and it's like one of those going into a human body movies, except it's the body of this giant fucking mountain-sized space turtle.
Which is kind of interesting because land masses and planets themselves being on the backs of animals and even turtles is quite common in mythology. So it's like I don't know if this like movie like specifically...
Right. So it's like I love how this movie has like a double twist. It's got the twist of like, you know, the giant turtle thing, and then also the twist of being inside of the body of the giant turtle.
That was a pretty interesting twist. I thought it was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my god.
No, it did genuinely kind of take me by surprise. I felt dumb for not realizing the body thing, but like the whole thing being like a giant floating turtle continent was definitely something I did not see coming at all.
Obviously,
okay.
I liked it because I have pet turtles myself.
Oh yeah, right, for sure.
I mean, granted, we don't learn that it's a turtle till like the last 5 seconds of the movie, but
right, exactly.
But I mean, I was kind of anticipating them not, you know, like they show the eye, but you know, not show what the entire creature looks like.
I'm glad that they did go with a turtle because, like you said, that is very much like the classic mythological take.
Yep, I mean, obviously each mythology has its own variations. Obviously, Greek mythology has Atlas holding up the earth and all that. I think one of them has I think India might have elephants or like rats or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Right.
But turtles are quite common in mythology, like seafaring turtles and all that. So, but it does kind of make sense in hindsight. It's like they're kind of like, it's obviously they're protecting the body from intruders, which obviously the Clades and obviously the Clade party actually basically is.
Yeah, and not to mention the whole like biology of the pando and how that interacts. I don't know. I thought the pando thing was a really cool, clever metaphor for for the climate change issue that we're having right now. And it wasn't beating you over the face with it, but it was still. I feel like this movie tackles, the political stuff that Disney has been trying to push in their movies more, which I am not against per se, but they're doing it in this movie in a way that feels a lot more tactfully done and a lot less cynically like, yeah, you're gonna like that diversity. Yeah, gay LeFou. We don't care that LeFou literally translates to the fool. You're gonna like it. But I'm sorry, I got a little carried away there, but
I mean, yeah, I do kind of see where you're going from on there. I mean, they're not entirely subtle with it, but it's not like beating over your head. It's like, yeah, this pando thing, it's literally a parasitic plant, and they're perpetuating the creature's death.
Right. Let's talk about two of the standouts in this movie, which are the big marketing stars. Oh yeah,
like Splat.
Splat, which all I can think about with that name is Splatoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, it's impossible not to. I'm just like, God damn it, why'd they have to call it that?
Well, I mean, it's a name that Ethan thought up on the spot, so.
I know. It's fine. It wasn't that distracting. I'm exaggerating, but.
Yeah, I know.
But let's talk about Legend, because I think that Legend might be like a top tier Disney dog. I really do.
It's like I love that. It's like it took me a bit. Like, didn't take me long to notice that he only had 3 legs. Like he was missing a leg.
I like that they don't really call that much attention to it because, I feel like this is another kind of like weird sort of. This movie has a ton of different diversity things going on. Of course. we didn't even talk about the mixed family thing, because honestly, the mixed families aren't a big deal. It's not a political thing, and it shouldn't be a big deal. And this movie does not make it a big deal at all. It's just, it's just a natural family, and I like that. And in some ways, I feel like the three-legged dog, just being a dog, and we don't have to, have a scene of him looking pathetic or like, oh, poor legend, or like.
I mean, he's still not the brightest dog. He's still not the brightest bulb in the box, but
Yeah, but you get my point, where it's like, I really do feel like in all aspects of this movie, like from a political point of view, I am sure that there are going to be idiots, trashing this movie like, oh, it's the latest calling card in Disney's woke agenda. But I mean, honestly, if anything, if this is like the way that Disney's going with it, I say bring on more of this, because because I've always said, as long as the stories are good and as long as the characters are good.
Well, you know that people on both sides are going to be attacking it no matter what. Right?
Why are, I mean, I don't really want to get into it, but why are the left attacking it?
I said, they're going to regardless. But
I don't understand why they would. This movie has like literally everything they could want. Just look at our image here.
I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to call it out, we might as well call out both. But
all right, fair enough. Anyways, but yes, like you said, Legend, not the sharpest tool in the shed for sure, but I think that makes him all the more memorable, and it really makes his antics, throughout the movie very. I think he's definitely the best comedy in the movie, and frankly, a lot of the dialogue-based comedy in this movie, I think, falls kind of flat.
I mean, in all honesty, Legend didn't even really need to be there with them.
He really didn't, but I'm glad he was.
I mean, especially that scene where they're locked in the broom closet and they're trying to get Legend out when they could have just sent Legend to get them out, when they could have just sent Splat to open the door for them. It's like Splat.
Exactly right.
And Splat was even trying to direct him in the first place. It's like something.
It kind of reminds me of the early concepts for Peter Pan, where Nana was supposed to go to Neverland with the kids. It's just like, yeah, it's a little cumbersome, but I feel like that's the joke, is that it is cumbersome. All right, let's talk about Caspian.
Caspian.
Yeah, obviously with that name, whenever I hear that name, I just think I am Prince Caspian of Narnia. And I'm like, no, this guy is not that at all. Sorry, bro. Ben Barnes, you ain't.
I really need to rewatch those movies.
Prince Caspian is honestly my favorite of the three. I'm not gonna lie.
I actually read I think all the majority of the books, but I need to really rewatch the movie too. I don't think I even saw. I don't think I've even seen the movie Prince Caspian.
I think it's underrated.
Or if I did, I mean, I know I've seen Nard, the first one, plenty of times, because basically it's like, it's like, it's like whenever there's like a movie day in school, all they showed was Narnia.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever showed I don't know if they ever showed Prince Caspian, and I might have seen it like on reruns, but okay, I'm getting off topic here.
Well, Dawn Trader is the one that's really obscure. I haven't even seen Dawn Trader.
Yeah, and that one was made by Fox.
Yeah.
And that's also now on Disney Plus too.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? It's like, it doesn't really matter that it was made by Fox and not Disney at this point, but
at the time it was like kind of like, whoa, it jumped ship. But it's like now, oh wait, now you can just see them all at once. But anyway, yeah, Caspian. He was the wait, which one was Caspian again?
The nerdy guy who freaked out over Ethan.
Oh yeah,
Ethan, I'm so glad you're okay.
Like, was he the guy that's like, I am a huge fan of your dad?
Which that's a funny gag, but I thought it's like that's like the one thing in the trailer, in the marketing, that they actually kept showing.
Well, in the trailer, it was actually Callisto that said it though. But instead, in this movie, it was obviously Caspian. I do like Caspian though. It's like you should. He's not in his element in this at all.
No.
He was. I mean, he couldn't even keep it. He couldn't keep an eye on Ethan. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
that did lead Ethan to finding Splat, so it was a good thing. But oh no, it's just like and I remember he tried to open the door, and he just ran into it, tried to barge it open, and knocked himself out.
What? Anything like we already gushed about Meridian as just like awesome wife goals, right?
She is.
Like I already legitimately have a crush on her.
Like, and she's a heck of a pilot.
What about Mal?
Callisto?
Yeah.
Like I liked her. I mean, it is kind of weird that she kind of like dedicated to the mission at the very end, but and it wasn't. It did kind of make sense.
I honestly think out of the leads, I think she's the one where it's like, I really wish there was a little bit more there between her and Searcher as far as like, it kind of feels like there's almost like a big, a big sister, little brother type of dynamic there that I wish was explored a little more.
Yeah, and she is kind of like the voice of reason between the two clades.
I don't know. I feel like it's the one character out of the main cast where I feel like I like her concept. I like the fact that she's like the president of Avalonia, and yet she's willing to put her life on the line to lead the expedition. Like, that's badass in its own right. I just don't really feel like she does a whole heck of a lot outside of the random, like, third act twist for like half of the third act.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from, but as I said, she does kind of switch out of that once she realizes the truth, and obviously Jaeger comes back with his whole deal after having actually turned around.
And then the only other one of the characters I need to shout out just because of the name is Lonnie Redshirt. Lonnie Redshirt, everyone's favorite character.
Lonnie Redshirt.
I just love that they actually named a character Redshirt.
I wonder if he's the one that got eaten by the Reapers.
He's the large man.
Oh, all right.
I don't know. That's just all Wiki says. Let's see what's.
I feel bad for the guy that
a large member of the expedition to Strange World.
I can't feel bad for the guy that got eaten by the Reaper.
Hold on, let me actually Google Lonnie Redshirt and see if there's images of him.
Speaking of which, did you know that the Reapers like kind of just like when they ate that one machine, they kind of like sprouted a part of it?
Yeah, I did.
I kind of wish they explored a bit of that more.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just like a weird biological quirk, but it just seemed like it would be important later on.
Yeah, there's no active images of Lonnie Redshirt online right now. But we love you, Lonnie Redshirt. You're in our hearts.
And possibly in a Reaper's stomach. Yeah. Those Reapers are terrifying, though.
Yeah, they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, outside of that, I mean, I don't have a ton to say. Honestly, upon reflecting on it more, I do think the characters really do work for the most part, especially like Jaeger, Searcher, Ethan,
Meridian.
Yeah, and Meridian. Like those four is like, it's like the core leads. Those really work. Like I feel like all four of those characters are very, very well developed. I feel like the rest of the characters are like, yeah, they're fine. Like Splat, honestly, with Splat, I feel like he's more of like a marketing thing / like plot device. I don't really care for Splat one way or another. I feel like you could have done most of what he needed to do in the plot with Legend, but Legend is a legend. Like, oh my god, he's like up there with like the top Disney dogs, man.
And he doesn't even speak a word.
Right.
I do like Legend. It's like, yeah.
All right, any final thoughts?
None that I can really think of right now. I mean, usually we go on for a lot longer on these things.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Honestly, I was kind of meaning to make this one a little on the shorter side. I mean, if we don't have to talk for an hour, we don't necessarily need to. So I'm fine. I'm fine capping it here.
I mean, that's fair enough. Again, as I said, the character work isn't always the best, but I think for what the story's trying to tell, I mean, I think the characters work really well, and I have to say the characters are definitely memorable. I mean, that's definitely the important thing.
And I mean, this is like the first Disney movie since Encanto, like out of everything in the company, that I've genuinely wanted to rewatch because the visuals, man, the visuals are just such a treat. You know, I'm genuinely looking forward to watching it again just for the backgrounds and the creature designs, if anything else.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this movie in 3D. But...
Oh man, I should before. Do you have your Way of Water tickets yet?
No, I didn't even know they were on sale yet.
They are on sale, and I got my giant screen 3D. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my god. All right. Anyways,
well, I definitely have to get tickets then.
Okay, well that's it. Sorry, that's it for us, folks. Thanks for coming on, Jacob. I appreciate it.
That concludes our broadcast.
All right, have a good night, folks. Have a good one.
Until next time, adventurers.
Jägerkläd, Jägerkläd.